Welcome to Paritranaya. This is day 6. Day 6 or 7? 7? Okay. So in the previous class we discussed about the PYQs based 2024 and a few 23 I guess. Yes. 23, right? 23. Before that we discussed for 3 days on ancient history based PYQs, right? Okay. So will you be able to recall the Mahajanapadas? Those who are joined in online mode, am I audible? Okay. Mahajanapadas. Which is the southernmost Mahajanapada? Asmaka. So which is the capital of Asmaka? Potali. Which river is associated with Asmaka? Godavari. So which is the northernmost Mahajanapada? Kamboja. Okay. Next, which is the easternmost Mahajanapada? Yes. Anga. Which is the capital? Champa. Okay. Which is the river associated with? Champa. Okay. Next, which is the westernmost Mahajanapada? Gandhara. Which is the capital? Taxila. Right. Taxila. So Rashtrakutas they reigned between which centuries? 8 to 10. Next, Chalukyas of Badami. 6 to 8. Okay. Next, Pallavas. 3 to 9. But they were very strong during 6 to 9th century. Okay, 9th century. Next, Kakatiyas. 12 to 14. Next, Hoysalas. 10 to 14. Yadavas. 12 to 14. Gahadwalas. 11 to Gahadwalas. 10 to 11 to 12. Okay. Next, Vijayanagara Empire. 14 to 16. Okay, 14 to 16. Okay. So a few of the important aspects related to what ancient history we have discussed. So yesterday we had paused, I think, at the question number 50. 39. Okay. These questions we have not discussed, right? Okay. 39th we have completed, right?
So
37th.
Discussion.
Oh, near and have you gone through it? Because I have not gone through it. Yes. What's the answer? 1 and 3. Okay. So when the nominal effective exchange rate increases, what happens to rupee? It appreciates. Okay. When nominal effective exchange rate increases, it rupee appreciates. So if the real effective exchange rate increases, okay. If the real effective exchange rate decreases, then it indicates the what? Trade competitiveness. Okay. What? Okay. Anyway, I will go through it once again. We'll have a discussion also. So here answer is 1 and 3. 1 and 3. So next, so this is a question of 2022. So it deals with what? E-commerce. Okay, e-commerce firms and what foreign direct investment, and also in what way they can operate. Okay, they can operate. So here, what's the question? With reference to foreign-owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following statements are correct? They can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platforms as marketplaces. The degree to which they can own big sellers on their platforms is limited. Okay, it's limited. So what's the answer for this? Yes, it's 2 only, right? It's 2 only. So, but let's understand what are these statements. Okay, what are these statements? So when it comes to e-commerce firms, okay, So whether any Indians own e-commerce firms in India? There are Indian e-commerce firms as well as e-commerce firms which are owned by foreigners. Okay, which are owned by foreigners. Now, what are the various dimensions that we are supposed to think here? What is the FDI allowed in e-commerce? What is the FDI allowed in e-commerce? 50%, 75%, or 100%? 100%. Next, when it comes to e-commerce, okay, when it comes to e-commerce, there are two models. One is marketplace model, another one is inventory model. Okay, marketplace model and inventory model. So when it comes to Indians, okay, so what kind of model we can operate, whether marketplace model or inventory model? For Indians, so both of them are open. Either you can start what, a marketplace model or a inventory model. Okay, inventory model. So what is the difference between inventory and marketplace? So in case of inventory, they'll be having their own go down. So they'll be having their own products, and also all the products they'll store in a particular go down, and from there they'll start dispatching the items. Okay, dispatching the items. This is what inventory model. In case of marketplace model, what they will do? There will be a seller, there will be a buyer. Okay, so both the seller and buyer will be connected through this common platform. Okay, that is called as marketplace model. Okay, marketplace model. So if a person is Indian, then he is allowed to start both a marketplace model or inventory model. Okay, inventory model. But when it comes to foreigner starting a e-commerce firm in India, okay, so which model is allowed and which model is not allowed? Okay, so marketplace model is allowed, whereas inventory model is not allowed. Okay, inventory model is not allowed. So this is what basis of this question. Okay, basis of this question. Next, so the first one with reference to foreign owned e-commerce firms in India. Okay, e-commerce firms in India. Which of the following statements are correct? They can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platforms as marketplaces. True or false? Yes, they cannot sell their own goods. Okay, so they have to just work as a marketplace. Okay, marketplace. Next, the degree to which they can own big sellers on their platforms is limited. The official answer key, I think it is neither one nor two. It's not two only. It's neither one nor two. Okay, neither one nor two. So why it is neither one nor two? Yes. Yes, so here in the second option, it is completely zero. It is completely zero. So what do we understand by the second statement? The degree to which they can own big sellers on their platform is limited. Okay. So can you recall one example of a foreigners owned e-commerce firm in India? Amazon. Okay. So we have Amazon. So Amazon sells various items. Okay, various items. It may be a mobile phone, or it may be pen and so on. Okay, many items. Now, what does the second statement mean? The degree to which they can own big sellers. Now, Amazon, it's a separate company. Now, let's assume the mobile manufacturer, let's assume, okay, Reliance. One more, TCS. Okay, TCS. I have just taken a few examples. Can Amazon purchase few shares of TCS? Okay, it can purchase some shares of TCS, it can have a stake in TCS. Similarly, can Amazon purchase shares of Reliance? Yes, it can purchase. Okay, it can have a stake in Reliance as well. Now, Reliance has some products. Let's assume Reliance has some mobile products and TCS has pen products. Okay, pen products. Now, Amazon can sell pens as well as mobile phones. But whether now Amazon can sell TCS pens and Reliance mobiles? Okay, now the question is, to what extent Amazon can own Reliance and TCS? What percentage of share it can hold? 1%, 2%, 10%, 50%. Okay, here if it owns even 1%, if it is holding 1% of TCS share, then it cannot sell the TCS pens on its platform. If even it holds what 0.1% of Reliance shares also, Amazon, it cannot sell the Reliance mobile phones on its platform. Okay, so this indicates the degree to which they can own big sellers. Who are the big sellers here? Reliance is a big seller and TCS is a big seller. The degree to which the Amazon can own big seller on its platform is It is not limited. It's not 0.1 or 1%. It is completely 0. Okay. Hence, it is not limited. It is 0. Hence, the option number 2 is also what? Wrong. Here the answer is neither 1 nor 2. Okay, neither 1 nor 2. But here, just we should not focus on the question. So, what are the various aspects that we focused here? One is FDI. Okay, FDI allowed. What is the extent of FDI allowed? Okay, and when the FDI is allowed, in when the foreigner owns an e-commerce firm in India, what kind of model is allowed? Okay, so that information is also equally important, and this was a recent change which was introduced probably in 2022 or 23. So very important. Okay, very important. Any big seller, okay, any big seller cannot be owned by the platform. Okay, to even a minimum extent also. Okay, even a minimum extent also. Hence, it is completely 0. Okay, completely 0. Yes. Domestic. Okay, there is no restriction for domestic firms. Okay, for example, now can you recall one example of a domestic firm? Flipkart. Okay, Flipkart is an example. Okay, now Flipkart, can it own others? TCS or can it buy some shares of Reliance and TCS? See, now this you have to check. Very important. Now here we have mentioned about what? Foreign owned e-commerce firms in India. But if an Indian owned e-commerce firm in India, can they own a big seller? Can they have stake in the big sellers? So I think it is yes. Okay, it is yes, but we have to cross verify. Okay, we have to cross verify. Now, based on the previous year when we are preparing, so these are the valid questions which we have to raise. Okay, so that's a very valid question. You just cross verify whether in India, Indian owned e-commerce firms, can they own big sellers on their platform? Probably I think it is yes. Okay, it is yes. Okay, just cross verify once. Or you can even search in this fashion. That is, foreign owned e-commerce firms are not allowed to have any kind of stake with respect to big sellers. But whether similar kind of restriction also exists for the Indian sellers, Indian owned firms? So if you are not able to get immediately after the class, you can just search it. Okay, you can search it. I think there should be no restriction for Indian firms because yes, restriction is there.
E-commerce entities cannot sell products from vendors in which they hold an equity stake.
No, which all e-commerce firms or only foreign owned e-commerce firms?
Both
you are told?
foreign and domestic.
Both foreign and domestic, then we should cross verify once. Okay, but an important question because here they are focused only on foreign owned e-commerce firms. Now our objective is to find out whether it is the same applies to Indian owned e-commerce firms as well, because when it comes to marketplace model and what inventory model, so Indians can operate both what marketplace model as well as inventory model. Now when it comes to this aspect, then we have to what cross verify through multiple sources, but a very valid question. Okay, very valid question. Okay, so based on this question, so we need to prepare from these different perspectives. Okay, different perspectives. Next, so this is a question of 2022. Okay, question of 2022. So which of the following activities constitute a real sector in the economy? Okay, in the economy. So farmers harvesting their crops, textile mills converting raw cotton into fabrics, a commercial bank lending money to a trading company, a corporate body issuing rupee denominated bonds overseas. Okay, overseas. So here the one is the opposite of real sector is financial sector. Okay, here we need to know about only two things. One is real sector, another one is financial sector. Okay, financial sector. So exact definition is all, it's not required. Just based on the statement itself, you can come to a conclusion. So wherever only financial instruments are used, okay, no real work is taking place. So such a entity we call it as what? Part of financial sector, and wherever real operation is taking place, okay, it is part of what? Real sector. Now when it comes to what classification, we do different kind of classification. One is primary, secondary and tertiary, agriculture, manufacturing and services. So similarly it is another way of classification. Okay, real sector and financial sector. Okay, real sector and financial sector. So if you look at the first statement. Farmers harvesting their crops. So real kind of operations are taking place. So it's an example of what? Real sector. Now next, textile mills converting raw cotton into fabrics. Example of a real sector. Next, a commercial bank lending money to a trading company. Financial what? Sector. A corporate body issuing rupee denominated bonds overseas. Financial sector. A software engineer sitting in a hall and coding something. Real sector. Okay, real sector. So a driver providing the transportation services from Bagalkot to Bijapur. Real sector. Okay, real sector. Next, a postman delivering a letter from one place to another place. Okay, real sector. Okay. So UPI. Financial sector. In this fashion, if you are able to segregate the examples, that would be sufficient. That exhaustive list of examples is not required. Just based on this question, if you are able to differentiate what is real sector and what is financial sector, that would be sufficient. Okay, that would be sufficient. Okay. So this is the basic difference between what? Real sector and financial sector. Okay, financial sector. Okay. So this is again a very important question which has appeared in 2022. Okay, 22. So in which one of the following situations best reflects indirect transfers often talked about in media recently with reference to India? Okay, with reference to India. So here, when it comes to tax evasion, especially international tax evasion, so UPSC often focuses on such aspects. Okay, such aspects. So during the discussion of class also we have come across some terms called as base erosion and profit shifting. Okay, so in order to reduce the tax liability, so people will shift the profits to other places. They will show that the profit has been made by some other country. So in that fashion, they will try to reduce the taxes that are supposed to be paid in India. Okay, paid in India. So UPSC often focuses on those aspects. Similarly, in that context, so this term indirect transfers. Okay, indirect transfers. Okay. So in 2022 itself they asked a question because in 2021 or 22 there was a Supreme Court judgment, okay, on Vodafone related case. Okay, Vodafone related case. So there are no chance of this question repeating, but again the concept is important. Okay, the concept is important. So here what's the answer? Okay, it's third one. An Indian company purchases tangible assets in, sorry, it's not third one, it's actually fourth one. Okay, a foreign company transfers shares and such shares derive their substantial value from assets located in India. Okay, assets located in India. Okay, so here again we will not go into the detailed aspect. Okay, already it's an old question. We will not go into detailed aspect. Just at a superficial level we shall understand. For example, there are two companies. So company A and company B. Okay, company A and company B. Now company A, it is holding some Indian, let's assume Infosys shares. Infosys shares. Okay, Infosys shares. Now, whenever you sell a share, should you pay some kind of tax to the government? Whether you are supposed to pay some kind of taxes? Yes, you are supposed to pay some kind of taxes to the government. Now, both A and B, both of them are located abroad. Okay, abroad. Let's assume they are located in some European country. Okay, European country. Now, this company A, it is selling shares to company B. Okay, selling shares to company B. Now, whether they have to pay taxes to Indian government? Yes, because basically they are transferring Infosys shares. Okay, Infosys shares. So they have to pay some kind of taxes to Indian government. But as the transfer is taking place abroad, so they are not paying taxes. Okay, they are not paying taxes in that context. Okay, so there was a tussle between what Vodafone, Indian government, and Supreme Court finally gave a judgment. In that context, it has appeared. So here, see here, a foreign company A transfers shares. Okay, shares, and such shares derive their substantial value from assets located in India. So Infosys, majority of its assets are located in India, and that share will get a value because of the assets which are present in India. So in such a case, whatever the transfers are taking place, we call them as indirect transfers. Okay, indirect transfers. So here we'll stop here itself. Means we'll not go into other aspects. Okay, other aspects. But this is a very important topic. Okay, important topic. Probably in our notes also we have covered about the base erosion and profit shifting. Okay, so there are various methodologies which there are various strategies which are used by the companies. okay, which are used by the companies to evade the taxes, okay, to evade the taxes, and among them this is one strategy, okay, one strategy. Similarly, what you can do in that whatever the notes I have shared, you can go through the content and which are the other strategies used by the companies to evade the taxes, okay, to evade the taxes, okay. So on that aspect you will focus, and also you will focus on BEPS, okay, BEPS. What is BEPS and which organization is associated with BEPS, okay, base erosion and profit shifting, okay, profit shifting. So this is a very important term which appears repeatedly in the newspaper, okay, newspaper. So it refers to expenditure made by an organization or a company. Which of the following statements are correct? Okay, are correct. Acquiring new technology is capital expenditure. Next, debt financing is considered capital expenditure, while equity financing is considered revenue expenditure. Okay, revenue expenditure. So first we need to know about the what capital expenditure and capital receipts. So these things we have discussed in the context of Indian government and budget. Okay, the same thing will be applicable here as well. Okay, here the same thing will be applicable here as well. So here they are asked in the context of an organization. Okay, organization or a company. But whatever is applicable to the government, the same is applicable here as well. So when it comes to capital receipts of Indian government, so can you give an example of a capital receipt? Different examples of capital receipt. Borrowing is an example of a capital receipt. Next, disinvestment is an example of a capital receipt. So disinvestment is called as non-debt capital receipt, whereas borrowing is a debt capital receipt. Okay, debt capital receipt. Now expenditure, when it comes to expenditure, now government will pay salary. It is considered as part of capital expenditure or revenue expenditure? Revenue expenditure. Now government will spend on the construction of the road. Capital expenditure. Similarly, when it comes to company, whatever it is spending on monthly basis on salary, it is part of revenue expenditure. So whatever it is spending on building a new infrastructure, capital expenditure. Now acquiring new technology, what is capital? The asset creation which will help you for a long period of time. Okay. Now when you want to purchase a new technology, so will you use it for a day or two and will just leave it? No. The acquired technology will benefit you in the long term. So hence the technology is considered as a what? Whatever you spend on the technology is considered as what? Capital expenditure. So acquiring new technology is part of capital expenditure. Okay. Now acquiring a patent, whether it is considered as part of revenue expenditure or capital expenditure? Capital expenditure. Okay. So it may be patent or it may be what new technology or any other what intellectual property also, it is considered as part of capital expenditure. Okay. So the things which confuse us, new technology. So first time when we see this question, we often get confused. So few of the examples you can add here. For example, patent. Okay. For example, what other intellectual properties, trademark, all those things, whatever you are spending, it comes under capital expenditure. Okay, capital expenditure. So the next statement is a bit confusing. So what do we understand by debt financing? Okay, debt financing. Here we shall take one interpretation so that it will help us to easily proceed. Okay, easily proceed. Because in different context, in different sites, they are given a different fashion. So debt financing. Next, equity financing. Okay, equity financing. So they can be here financing means it can be considered in two different ways. Now let's take a company A. So it has taken some kind of equity investment. Equity investment. It means someone has brought around 10 shares of this company. Okay, 10 shares of this company worth 1 lakh rupees. Okay, 1 lakh rupees. So let's say investor 1, he has brought 10 shares. Okay, he has brought 10 shares. Next, in the same company A, another company or some bank has given a what loan. Okay, so debt. They have given a debt. Let's take SBI. Okay, SBI. Now 1 lakh rupees. SBI has given 1 lakh rupees in the form of a loan. Next, an investor 1 has made investment in the form of a equity. Okay, equity. So in case of equity, at the end of the year, company A, what it will give to investor 1? It will give dividend. It will give Dividend. Next, what company A will give to SBI at the end of the year? Yes, interest. Okay, interest. So whatever interest you are paying to the bank, it is called as debt financing. Okay, see here, there is alternative, another approach as well, means another interpretation as well, will not go into it. Okay, so now this is called as debt financing. Now whatever the dividend you are paying, it is called as equity financing. Okay, equity financing. So debt financing, equity financing. Now every year when you pay dividends, when you pay interest, so what it is considered as? It is considered as a capital expenditure or revenue expenditure? Revenue expenditure. Okay, when you pay the entire amount back to bank, 1 lakh rupees, it is considered as capital expenditure. Capital expenditure. Now probably if you purchase back the shares from the people who have bought, okay, so you will what, give them money, so that is again what, capital expenditure. Okay, it's a kind of disinvestment, capital expenditure. Now if you look at the statement, debt financing is considered capital expenditure? No, this is also revenue expenditure. Next, similarly, equity financing is also revenue expenditure. So even though second statement is correct, first statement is wrong. Okay, first statement is wrong. So hence second is wrong. Okay, second is wrong. So this is one interpretation. So few of the in other aspects how they have discussed is debt financing means when company gives loan to others. Okay, when company gives loans to others, when company invests in others. Now with one interpretation we shall come to a conclusion, we shall not go into those deeper aspects. Okay, because it will cause confusion. What exactly is debt financing? Whether company investing in others or company borrowing from the others. Okay, borrowing from the others. So with this interpretation, what we can conclude, the second statement is wrong. Okay, second statement is wrong. Okay, so here again, what is debt, what is equity? So all those things we should be able to recall. So when it comes to what raising fund, there are two ways. One is through debt, another one is through equity. Okay, so the person who is investing, he can get more returns if he makes equity investment or debt investment. Equity, but the chances of potential losses are also more in case of equity. Okay, in case of debt, fixed returns will come. And also if a company becomes bankrupt, okay, so who will get their share first, whether a equity investor or a debt investor? Debt investor. So these things, see here, the same topics, they have been asked in different angles. Okay, different angles. All those different aspects again we have to touch and we have to revise them repeatedly. Okay, revise them repeatedly. Okay. Next, with reference to the Indian economy, consider the following statements. Okay, consider the following statements. So here, a share of the household financial savings goes towards the government borrowings. Next, dated securities issued at market related rates in auctions form a large component of internal debt. Okay, internal debt. Now we have discussed all these things in detail. When this question appears, we are not interested only in the answer. So what we are interested? So they are using a term called as debt and also internal debt. So because of this term, we will revise the entire thing. What we will revise? When it comes to debt, it has been classified into what? Internal debt and external debt. Okay, whether the share of internal debt is more or external debt is more? Internal debt is more. So approximately, what is the percentage of GDP? What is the share of internal debt as a percentage of GDP? 50%. Okay, approximately 50%. Okay, approximately 50% of GDP. Okay, next, what is the share of external debt as a percentage of GDP? 3%. Okay, 3%. Now next, when we speak about internal debt, whether we focus only on sovereign debt or also non-sovereign debt as well? No, in case of internal debt, we focus on what? Only sovereign debt. Whatever the loan the government has taken, whatever the funds the government has raised, we'll only focus on that. Okay, we'll only focus on sovereign debt. But when it comes to external debt, what we'll focus? Both sovereign plus non-sovereign. Okay, both sovereign plus non-sovereign. Means whatever the fund and private entity has raised, that is also taken into account when it comes to external debt. Now in external debt, whose share is more? Sovereign debt is more or non-sovereign debt is more? Non-sovereign debt is more. Okay. Next, when it comes to internal debt, again we have discussed in detail. When it comes to internal debt, which are the components, the major components of internal debt? Marketable securities, non-marketable securities. So when it comes to marketable securities, which is the largest component? Dated securities. Okay. So now marketable securities, non-marketable securities. What is the share of marketable securities as a percentage of GDP? 40%. Non-marketable? Approximately 10. Now within these what marketable securities, there are multiple entities. So which one has the largest share? Dated securities. As a percentage of GDP, what is the share? 36%. From this you will conclude that among all the what components of internal debt, the one which has the highest share is dated securities. Now see here, if we stop here also it is okay, but we are already prepared to the next level. Okay, what is the next level? Apart from the dated securities, which are the other components of marketable security? Cash management bills. Next, when it comes to non-marketable securities, only top one you will focus. Okay, so security against small savings. So we'll stop here itself. Means to address this question, we have sufficient content, and also if a similar kind of question to the next level, if they ask in the upcoming year also, we have that content ready. Okay, we have that content ready. Now, based on that, dated securities issued at market related rates in auctions form a large component of the internal debt. True? Yes, it is true. A share of household, see here, in the first question they have focused on savings. So have we discussed about savings? Okay. So more the savings, more the investment, okay, more the GDP, but sometimes it does not take place because of the one important ratio we have seen, if you can recall, capital output ratio. So capital output ratio will be high or low? High. Yes, so capital output ratio, if it is high, what does it mean? Capital output ratio, ideally it should be low. Okay, so output should be more, capital should be less, but now in India in some instances it is very high. Okay, it means output is less, okay, but capital is high. So high capital output ratio, whether it is good or bad, it's bad. Okay, capital output ratio should be low. Okay, low. But here now, okay, we are coming to savings. When it comes to savings, so we have seen the components of savings. Which are the components of savings? Highest component, household savings. Next, corporate. Next. Okay, so these are important, just you'll focus on these two. Okay, savings. So a share of the household sharings, financial savings goes towards the government borrowings. True or false? See, what is savings? The extra amount which you have, you will just deposit it in the bank. What the bank will do? It will lend a loan. So when it is lending loan, whether it lends only to the private entities, also it will give loan to the government as well. It will give loan to the government as well. So in this fashion, whatever you have deposited, households, whatever they have deposited in the bank, some amount will go in the form of a debt to government as well. So hence, the share of the household's financial savings goes towards the government borrowings. Yes. Okay. So option number 1 is also correct. 2 is also correct. So here, based on this question, we should be able to revise two concepts. One is savings components. Another one is debt and its components. Okay. Debt and its components. See here, whatever the debt we have seen here. So this information will be part of generally budget document. Okay, budget document. Also sometimes as part of economic survey as well. But here we will not be preparing economic survey. We will not be preparing what budget document also, because this is going to remain same. For 2026, for 2027, for 2028, it is going to remain same. So all of a sudden, dated security will not lose its what dominant position. It will not be occupied by something else. It is going to remain same. So these things are static part. Okay, these things are static part. We will prepare from the static point of view. Okay, we shall not think that only by reading budget we will be able to answer such kind of questions. No. Okay, so this is what static part. Okay, static part. Next, so this is a question of again 2022. So again, they focused a question on what currency. Tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. Next, capital flight may increase the interest cost of firms with existing external commercial borrowings. Next, devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk associated with external commercial borrowings. Okay, borrowings. So officially, I think this question has been dropped. Okay, they are not given an answer. So in 2022, when this question appeared, so many of them they started releasing the key answers, and their assumption was that, what was their assumption? Tight monetary policy of the US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. Okay, could lead to capital flight. So here they made an assumption that capital flight from which country? US. Okay, so majority of them they made the assumption that capital flight of USA. But UPSC is not interested in the capital flight of USA. In the newspaper also, when you are reading the article, they will be focusing on the capital flight from India. Because whenever capital flight happens from India, what is capital flight? Dollars will leave India. So when dollars will leave India, what happens? The demand for dollar will increase. When the demand for dollar increases, what happens? Rupee depreciates. Okay, so capital outflow will lead to rupee depreciation. Okay, capital outflow will lead to rupee depreciation. So hence UPSC has asked this question, when it has framed this statement, they are not focusing on what US capital flight, they are focusing on India's capital flight. Okay, India's capital flight. Now even though they are dropped, but we need to know this concept and we have to understand, because if a similar kind of question, see, if they had given a clarity, then they would have not dropped this question. Probably someone has raised the objection. So tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight from India if they had given this statement. Okay, then they would have not dropped. Okay, then they would have not dropped this question. Now we shall assume that could lead to capital flight from India. True or false? What is tight monetary policy? Yes, here when it comes to tight monetary policy means increase in interest rate. Increase in interest rate. So yesterday there was a confusion when we speak about interest rate. So we are referring to repo rate. Okay. In India, all the other rates, they are anchored to repo rate. So how the repo rate changes, similarly all the other rates will also change. So similar to India's repo rate, there will be repo rate in USA, Russia, Japan, everywhere. Okay, everywhere the central bank will fix the repo rate. Okay. So when we say tight monetary policy, what is the opposite of a tight monetary policy? Yes, so tight, okay, expansionary, we can call this what expansionary and contractionary. Okay, so tight and loose monetary policy. So when we say loose, it means interest rates are less. Okay, interest rates are less. Here tight means interest rates are high. So why do they go for tight monetary policy? To control inflation. Okay, when you increase the repo rate and all, your major objective is to control inflation. Okay, inflation. So here tight monetary policy means the interest rates will increase. Okay, interest rates will increase. So could lead to capital flight from India? Yes. Why? Because see, yesterday also we took the same example. A person of Japan, he has two options. One to invest in India, another one is to invest in USA. So if he invests in USA, he will get more returns because the interest rates are high. The interest rates are high. So what he will do? So he will, whatever he has invested in India, he will withdraw this amount and he will start going to USA. When he is withdrawing the amount from India, it will be dollars. It means dollars will start flowing out of India. Okay, dollars will start flowing out of India. So the first statement, tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight from India? Yes. From USA? No. Okay, if you place USA, then it will be no. But if it is India, yes, from India, capital flight will start taking place. Okay, start taking place. Now we shall assume it is India itself. Capital flight may increase the interest cost of firms with existing what external commercial borrowings. So this is very important. Okay, so when it comes to external commercial borrowings, okay, now what are the things that you have to prepare here? Okay, for external commercial borrowings. So external commercial borrowings, whether they are denominated in dollars or they can also be denominated in Indian rupee. Okay. Now again we'll search whether all the external commercial borrowing it exists in the form of dollars or it can be also in Indian rupee as well. Now see here, if you look at the question, the cost of firms with existing external commercial borrowings. Let's assume external commercial borrowings means we have taken loan from other country. We have taken loan from other country, not government. So some Indian company like TCS or Infosys, so they have taken loan from other country. TCS has taken loan from what? Some company A which is located in, let's assume, Europe, okay, some European country. Now when we have taken loan, let's assume we have taken loan in the form of a rupee denominated loan. Okay. So when there is a rupee denominated loan, so when you are paying interest, you will pay interest in rupee or dollar? Obviously we will pay in rupee. So if it is rupee denominated, it will not cause any problem. Okay, it will not cause any kind of problem. But if it is dollar denominated, then TCS has to pay company what? Interest in the form of dollars. But TCS will get dollars from which place? Okay, either through some kind of exports, or if it does not have any kind of exports, it will purchase the dollars from the market. Now what is the scenario? Capital flight. Already what? Capital is leaving India, dollar is leaving India. It means the demand for dollar has increased. The demand for dollar has increased. It means as the demand for dollar has increased, rupee will appreciate or depreciate? Rupee will depreciate. So the dollar which was available for 80 rupees, now it has become 100 rupees. Okay, now it has become 100 rupees. Now previously TCS, what it was supposed to pay, what? Let's assume it is paying dollars. How many dollars it is paying? It is paying $10. So it's paying $10 as interest. Okay, $10 as interest. Now previous year to pay $10, it had spent how much? What was the amount? 800 rupees. Now it has to spend 1000 rupees, because $1 has become 100 rupees. It has to pay 1000 rupees. Then it will get $10. Then it can pay. Now what happened? The cost of firms with existing commercial borrowings. So whether it will increase? Yes. If the external commercial borrowings, okay, if they are dollar denominated, then the existing whatever the cost is there, it will definitely improve. Okay, definitely increase. Okay, definitely increase. So here from exam point of view, what we have to think? So whether external commercial borrowing, everything is in dollar or also in rupee? Yes. Rupees also it is there, but here they are not given rupee and dollar. There will be some amount, okay, in terms of dollar. So definitely it will impact the existing external commercial borrowings. The rate of the interest cost of the firms will definitely increase. So second option is right. Okay, second option is right. Next, third one, devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk associated with external commercial borrowings. See, again it is very tricky. So what happens when you devalue a currency? See, now you are facing a problem with respect to dollars. Dollars are flowing out of the country. Okay, dollars are flowing out of the country, and when you go to purchase dollars in the market, dollars are very costly. Okay, very costly. What is the alternative way of bringing more dollars in the country? Yes. More exports. When we increase the exports, more dollars will start coming into the country. Okay, but in order to increase the exports, so whether when money appreciates at that time, exports will take place, or when money depreciates? Depreciates. Okay, so when rupee depreciates, so exports will increase. Okay, exports will increase, because in the foreign market our goods will become competitive. Okay, our goods will become competitive. Now this depreciation, okay, natural depreciation is different. Devaluation means deliberately will make its value to fall. Intentionally will make the value of rupee to fall. Okay, for 80 rupees if you are getting a dollar, now deliberately with some kind of changes will make it costly. So 90 rupees per dollar, 100 rupees per dollar. So when we devalue our currency, what happens? Exports will increase. Okay, when exports increase, what happens? Dollars will start coming into India. When dollars start coming into India, what happens? The dollars, whatever the demand had increased, that demand will come down. Now dollars which were available, okay, now dollars are available in more numbers, so you will be able to purchase it at a lesser rate. Okay, lesser rate. So now devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk. Yes. Okay, now if $80 has become now dollars have become costly. Previously $80, for 80 rupees you are getting dollar. Now you are getting what? 100 rupees. So because of the exports, because of the devaluation of the currency, what happens? More dollars will start coming into India. Okay, more dollars will start coming into India, and some currency risk that was associated with ECBs will come down. Okay, will come down. So this third statement is also right. Okay, third statement is also right. So at least this background is important. Here, what are the various things that we learned here? One is what is tight monetary policy. Okay, in India also do we are we involved in tight monetary policy? Yes. Who is involved in making the monetary policy tight? Okay, RBI is monetary policy committee. Okay, so monetary policy committee consists of how many members? 6 members. So all those things we'll revise here. Next, capital flight. Whenever we speak about the capital flight, we are discussing in the context of capital flight which takes place from India. Okay, from India. So in the foreign, if the interest rate increases, what happens to capital in India? Capital inflow will increase or capital outflow? Outflow. That capital outflow itself we call it as capital flight. Okay, capital flight. So in such cases, so whatever the loan you have taken in dollar denominated terms, so that will be impacted. So that cost of servicing will definitely increase. Okay, increase. Now just other things. External commercial borrowings is one way of borrowing. What are the other ways of borrowing money from abroad? Yes.
Masala bond.
Okay. Masala bonds. Okay. Masala bonds is also there. Okay. Yes, FDI. So it's not borrowing. So the different ways of raising funds. So these things where we have discussed balance of payment and under which account? Current account or capital account? Capital account. Under the capital account, we have various components. We have discussed about what? Foreign direct investment. We have discussed about foreign portfolio investment. Similarly, we have discussed about what? Loan. Okay, and external commercial borrowings. Okay, so at least these important terms which appear here, okay, we'll just focus on them. So now based on this, you got to know that external commercial borrowing is not completely dollar denominated. There is some external commercial borrowing which is even rupee denominated as well. Okay, in this fashion, based on the question, what we'll do, we'll try to build an comprehensive approach for the examination. Okay, for the examination. Okay, so next again this is the question of 2022. In India, credit rating agencies are regulated by Reserve Bank of India. The rating agency popularly known as ICRA is a public limited company. Brickwork Ratings is an Indian credit rating agency. So credit rating agencies, they repeatedly do appear in the newspaper. So what are credit rating agencies? Okay, so how personally we have a CIBIL score. Based on the CIBIL score, so banks and other financial institutions will decide so whether we have to give loan or not. So how his previous loan terms and all, and how he has whether he has prepared his previous loan properly or not. So all that history is present in CIBIL. Similarly, for companies, whether bank should give loan or not. So that is decided based on what? Credit rating agency. Okay, if the company has really performed well, it will have a good rating. Otherwise, no. Okay, otherwise no. Now here this question is a bit tricky. Okay, why it is tricky? Because in newspaper few of the credit rating agencies do appear. Okay, very rarely they do appear. There are so many credit rating agencies, and generally UPSC will not focus on those credit rating agencies. It means the rating agency popularly known as ICRA is a public limited company. Actually, this option is dummy. Okay. Brickwork Ratings is an Indian credit rating agency. This option is also dummy. What is important here is first statement. Okay, and in 2022, I still remember many times. So while reading newspaper, they had explicitly mentioned that credit rating agencies are regulated by whom? SEBI. If we know that, then we will be able to eliminate. So credit rating agencies are regulated by, okay, SEBI. SEBI. So once you eliminate, you are only left with what? One choice, 2 and 3. Okay, 2 and 3. Now you need not make a list of credit rating agencies in India. See here, the rating agency popularly known as ICRA is a public limited company. Now you should not make a list of public limited companies which are considered as credit rating agencies in India. Next, Brickwork Ratings is an Indian credit rating agency. If you try to search the list of credit rating agencies, there are so many agencies in India, they are not important. Okay, in such questions, whether the UPSC will frame an option like this, how many of the above are correct? It will not frame such kind of questions. Okay, in this question, it will not frame a question like how many of the above are correct. Okay, so here based on elimination itself, it is going to frame a question. Okay, frame a question. Okay, but anyhow the question has appeared. So we will only focus on these two companies. One is what? Brickwork Ratings and ICRA. So ICRA is a public limited company. Brickwork Ratings is an Indian credit rating agency. That's it. We are not going to prepare anything extra on these, and we are not going to list other credit rating agencies as well. But here the important aspect is credit rating agencies are regulated by SEBI. Okay, SEBI. Similarly, this should help us whenever any new entity appears in the newspaper. They are regulated by whom? Okay, they are regulated by whom? So that is very important. We have seen banks are regulated by RBI. Pension funds, PFRDA. Mutual funds, SEBI. Okay, SEBI. Similarly, whenever any new entity appears in the newspaper, the basic thing that we have to focus here is whether who regulates them, okay, and whether it is statutory or not. If it is statutory, which act? Okay, which act? So these things we should always keep in mind. Okay, keep in mind. Okay, so 47 with reference to Banks Board Bureau. So now this question is outdated because recently government has replaced this organization by another organization. Okay, so which is that organization? We'll be discussing later on. Now it is outdated. Okay, previously they have asked what on Bank Board Bureau questions multiple times, 2 to 3 times. But now this question is outdated because this Banks Board Bureau has been replaced by other agency. About that agency we'll be discussing later on. Okay. But anyhow, what is the answer for this? Yes. So governor of RBI is chairman of BBB. No, he is not the chairman. Okay, he is not the chairman. So they recommend the selection of the heads of public sector banks and also help public sector banks in developing strategies and capital raising plans. Okay, capital raising plans. Okay. Let's see again type of question on bond itself. So we have seen from 25 we are discussing. Okay. So there are so many questions directly or indirectly on bonds. Okay, on bonds. So with reference to convertible bonds, as there is an option to exchange the bond for equity, convertible bonds pay a lower rate of interest. Okay. Here, what is the basic thing that we need to know? What is a convertible bond? What is convertible bond? A bond, a debt instrument can be converted into an equity instrument. Okay, equity instrument. So a person will get more profit in case of debt instrument or equity instrument. Equity instrument. So if the company starts performing well, then he wants to convert it into what? Equity. Okay, equity. If the company is not performing well, then an investor he will try to hold it in the form of debt itself. But as there is an option for him to convert it later into an equity, so obviously during the negotiation stage itself, the rate of interest will be less. Okay. So which one will hold a higher rate of interest? Convertible bonds or non-convertible bonds? So non-convertible bonds will have a higher rate of interest. Convertible bonds will have lower rate of interest. Okay. So as there is an option to exchange the bond for equity, convertible bonds pay a what? Lower rate of interest. True. The option to convert to equity affords the bondholder a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices. Okay. The option to convert to equity affords the what? Bondholder a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices. Yes or no? Okay. Now see here, directly no, but indirectly yes. How? Now initially a person has invested 1 lakh rupees. Okay. 1 lakh rupees. It is in the form of bond and the interest rate is 10%. Okay, 10%. After 1 year, if he wants, he can convert it into equity. Okay, if he can convert it into equity. Now another person, let's assume this is same company A. Another company has invested here in the form of equity 1 lakh rupees. Okay, 1 lakh rupees. So here I will call investor 1. Here I will call investor 2. Okay, investor 2. So after during this 1 year period, company A has started performing extremely well. Okay. So this person he is getting a dividend of, let's assume, 20%. So if he has invested 1 lakh rupees, how much he will get after 1 year? He will get 20,000 rupees. Okay, as a dividend. How much he will get? 1 lakh rupees principal amount, or if he is only taking the interest, he will get 10,000 rupees. Okay. Now what he will do? Anyhow, the company is performing well. So what he will do? He will convert this bond into equity. So if he converts this bond into equity, he will not get 1 lakh rupees, but he will get 20,000 rupees because the dividend being shared is 20,000 rupees. So he was getting just 10,000 rupees. Now he is getting 20,000 rupees. So the previously the item which was which you could purchase through what? Let's assume 10,000 rupees or 12,000 rupees. Now its price has increased to 15,000 rupees. But based on this 20,000 rupees, can you purchase that item? Yes, means prices have also increased in 1 year, but accordingly your income has also increased. Okay, because you have converted the bond into equity. Okay, bond into equity. Okay, so again here the statement, the option to convert affords, it give an opportunity. Okay, affords the bondholder a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices. Okay, so it is true. Okay, it is true. Now a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices, apart from this convertible bonds, which other instrument can give the degree of indexation to rising consumer prices? Yes, inflation indexed bonds. Okay, apart from the convertible bonds, okay, if the bonds itself are inflation indexed bonds, yesterday we saw it was inflation indexed bonds. So now something it is similar, not exactly inflation indexed bonds, but these are the various instruments which will afford protection against rising consumer prices. Okay, rising consumer prices. See here, the same bonds, different types of what questions they asked. It means the bonds, these are bonds and shares, they are very important topic from exam point of view. So once you have a basic understanding, any kind of question, to whatever extent they may twist, but you should be able to answer it with full confidence. Okay, full confidence. So second one is also correct. Okay, second one is also correct. So both 1 and 2. Okay, 1 and 2. Now again, some basics. So bond market is regulated by whom in India? Yes, SEBI plus RBI. When it comes to government bonds, it is RBI. When it comes to corporate bonds, it is SEBI. Okay, SEBI. Next. See, in the previous question when we discussed rising consumer prices, so when it comes to consumer prices, again what you should revise? Consumer price index based what? Inflation. So those related things you'll just revise. Okay, you'll revise. Next. In India, which one of the following is responsible for maintaining price stability by controlling inflation? Okay, so sometimes the question will be very easy, directly one line. Okay, so almost all the aspirants will be able to answer this question confidently, and the first time who will appear for the examination, they'll think that the question paper was very easy, because among the 15 questions, if they have answered one or two, so in the very first round itself they consider that the question paper is easy. But those who have appeared for second time, third time, fourth time, they'll understand the gravity of the question paper. Okay, gravity of the question paper. Now what's the answer? Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so here we know Reserve Bank of India, but again when it comes to revision, we'll not stop here itself. What all things will revise? So here price stability, maintaining price stability. So it is a primary goal of whom? RBI, especially RBI's Monetary Policy Committee. What all things he'll revise? Monetary Policy Committee, how many members it consists of? 6 members, including chairman, excluding chairman? Including chairman. So what is the inflation that they will target? CPI or WPI? They'll target CPI. So what should be the ideal range of inflation? 4 plus or minus 6%. 4 plus or minus 2%. That is from 2 to 6%. It can vary. So when do we call that the monetary policy has failed? For consecutive 3 months, for consecutive 3 quarters, if the inflation is beyond this range, that is less than 2% or more than 6%, then we call that the monetary policy has failed. Okay, failed. Which are the instruments of monetary policy? Repo rate, reverse repo rate, CRR, SLR, liquidity adjustment facility, marginal standing facility, corridor, bank rate, standing deposit facility, open market operations. So all these are various tools of what? Monetary policy. So what happens? So what do we call it? When do we call it as a tight monetary policy? When you increase repo rate, it is called as what? Tight monetary policy. When you increase SLR, it is called as a loose monetary policy. Yes. So whenever you raise any of them, so it is called as tight monetary policy itself. Okay, tight monetary policy. Similarly, when you increase CAR, capital adequacy ratio, it is also considered as a tight monetary policy. Capital adequacy ratio, whether it is considered as part of monetary policy or not? No. Capital adequacy ratio is not part of monetary policy. So these are the various things we'll revise. Okay, we'll revise. Now here, based on the previous year questions, we already know that UPSC has not gone to the next level of the difference between SLR, CRR and all those things. But still, even though we have understood, so we need to know where we have to stop when we are revising. Okay, when we are revising. So based on this question, we have revised all these things simultaneously. If CPI is the one way of what measuring inflation, which is the other way of measuring inflation? WPI. So which are the components of CPI in the decreasing order of weight? Food and beverages, miscellaneous, housing, fuel and power, clothing and footwear, pan, tobacco and intoxicants, right? So what is the weightage of food? 45%. Which is within the food, so which are the top 3 commodities? Cereals, milk and vegetables. Okay, cereals, milk and vegetables. Again, when it comes to inflation, in the newspaper a term appears, core inflation. What is core inflation? Excluding food and fuel. What food and what fuel or power, we call it as what? Core inflation. Okay, core inflation. Next, just out of curiosity, Department of Consumer Affairs, it comes under which ministry? Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Agriculture. Yes, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. A ministry itself exists. So within that ministry, we have Department of Consumer Affairs. Expenditure Management Commission. See how we have not seen about this commission itself. So if required 1 or 2 lines, you will just search, otherwise you will just leave it. Financial Stability and Development Council. So an important entity. What you will do? What is Financial Stability and Development Council? Okay. So it whether it is a statutory body or non-statutory body. If it is statutory, under which ministry? Okay. So if there is any head, whether he is called as chairman or what, or president. So all these various entities, you will just add some information and you will revise. Okay, we will revise. So what is the goal of Financial Stability and Development Council? Okay. So these are the various aspects that you will prepare based on this question paper. Okay, based on this question itself. Okay. Okay. So in the recent years, there have been a lot of focus on these aspects. For example, digital currency, fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, cryptocurrency. Okay, and these things will also confuse us. Okay, so this can be what classified as part of science and technology, and to some extent we can even connect it with economics as well. Okay, economics as well. So here, with reference to non-fungible tokens, see, we don't know, we don't have complete idea, and we don't want to gain that complete idea. We want to crack the examination. That's it. Okay. To that extent, whatever information is required, we just add it. So if there is a term called as non-fungible token, okay, it means there should be opposite of it, fungible token. If there is a non-fungible token or fungible token, there should be a what? Non-fungible token or fungible token. Okay. Now, an example of fungible token. So cryptocurrency, okay, cryptocurrency, these are examples of fungible tokens. But what are cryptocurrencies? Okay, those who are involved in cryptocurrency also, they also not have a complete idea. So hence we will not go into deeper aspects like gaining complete idea. So cryptocurrency is an example of what? Fungible token. So non-fungible token. So both, whether it is what fungible token or non-fungible token, they use a system called as the term associated with them are blockchain. Okay, blockchain. So this is a very important term called as blockchain. Okay, blockchain. So again, you will not get a complete picture of blockchain also. Okay. So under science and technology, if possible, we shall discuss at the superficial level what is blockchain. Okay. In blockchain technology, there are thousands of different systems. Okay. If any change happens in one system, any entry if you change, simultaneously all the changes will get reflected in thousands of systems. So at this superficial level, you just understand the content. Okay, retain the content. So if any change is made in one system in a blockchain, it will be reflected in all the different systems. Okay, all the different systems. Hence, it is very difficult to manipulate, because if you manipulate here, it will be manipulated everywhere. So in the upcoming years, so blockchain has a potential application, especially in the government sector. Okay, government sector. So there is a lot of scope for corruption. So that corruption can be significantly reduced by using the blockchain technology. So in this context, also blockchain repeatedly appears in the newspaper. Okay. Now coming to again question, non-fungible token and what fungible token? They enable the digital representation of physical assets. Okay, physical assets. Now what is physical asset? An example of a physical asset. Okay. So the most famous example which all of them take is painting. Okay, painting. Next. Now, for example, land. Your land is a physical asset, right? Now, that land, how will you claim that that land belongs to you? You have a document. Okay, that land related document. Land ownership document. Okay, land ownership document. So, they enable the digital representation of physical assets. So, this painting, how you are going to store, you don't know. You will take a photo or something, you will do, and you will store it to the internet. In what? By making it as a non-fungible token. Okay, non-fungible token. Now, no one can copy it, take it without your permission. Okay, without your permission, no one can take it. So, at a superficial level, you just understand. Without your permission, no one can use it. Okay, no one can use it. So, yes, they enable digital representation of physical assets. They are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain. So, what are unique? What do you understand by unique? Yes. So unique means it's very similar kind of what entity does not exist in the entire system. So they are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain. Okay, they are unique. Now how about the opposite fungible token? Whether they are unique? Okay, they are not unique because all of them they appear same. So for example, 10 rupees cryptocurrency. If you give, if I give you 10 rupee notes, So both of them, if I ask you to differentiate at the superficial level, it will be difficult for you to differentiate. Okay. So because again, based on the numbers and all, finally you can come to a conclusion. But when it comes to fungible tokens, both of them, they are same. Okay, they are same. Okay, it will be difficult to differentiate. But when it comes to non-fungible tokens, you can easily differentiate one from the other. So hence, they are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain. Second one is also what? Correct. Third, they can be traded or exchanged at equivalence and therefore can be used as a medium of commercial transaction. So this is an important point. When it comes to fungible token like cryptocurrency, they can be used for commercial transaction. For example, I'll pay what 10 cryptocurrency. Okay, I'll pay what 10 units of cryptocurrency and you will get some what delivery. It may be food item or pen or something. But similarly here, you cannot use the painting related what non-fungible token for commercial transactions. Okay, commercial transactions. Hence, the statement 3 is wrong. They can be traded or exchanged at equivalence. No, at equivalence they cannot be traded. You give some unit and you'll get an exact extra exact same units. No. If for example, one person gives what some thousands of paintings, then he may get a what land related document. Okay, so they cannot be what exchanged at equivalence and therefore cannot be used as a medium of commercial transactions. How about fungible tokens? Can they be used? Yes, they can be used. Even after discussing these things, you will not get a complete picture because at some points you will feel that we have memorized and that is right, we have to memorize. You will not get a complete picture. Okay, so unnecessarily you will not spend time here because if you start spending time, you will lose your precious time which can be devoted to other subjects or other topics which can be easily comprehended. Okay, comprehended. So we'll leave it here itself. Repeatedly we'll go through the question, you'll try to find out the answer, and if there is confusion, you'll try to search in the internet just to understand the things, whatever the superficial aspects are required, that much you will gain, and you will just proceed to the next topic. Okay, next topic. Yes, both exist on blockchain. Okay, both exist on blockchain. Okay, next, greenwashing. So yesterday we saw a term, right, while discussing small farm, large field kind of terms. So these kind of terms, they do appear in the newspaper, especially the editorial, okay, editorial article. So here the term is greenwashing. Okay, greenwashing, and there is no what proper website or any source where you can search this term. So list of terms which are important from UPSC point of view. So there is no such site. So the only what proper source is newspaper itself. If you have been able to keep track of the newspaper and if you are aware, it's okay. Sometimes you'll make a guess also, and sometimes that guess may also fail. It may backfire. Okay, but anyhow, already the term has appeared, so we should be aware. So what does it imply? Conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. Okay, so some kind of products which the company is selling, it says that it is eco-friendly. Okay, for example, it will say if you use this kind of plastic, it does not pollute the environment. So even though it pollutes the environment, but they are making a false claim. So that phenomena, that condition is called as greenwashing. Okay, greenwashing. Next, sometimes in the examination, even though we may not know the direct answer, but we'll be able to eliminate few options. So at least if we are able to eliminate one or two options also, sometimes it will help us to what take risk, and at least 50-50 options when they are left, so we can take a risk. So if you look at the options, greenwashing, non-inclusion of ecological environmental costs in the annual financial statements of a country, ignoring the disastrous ecological consequences while undertaking infrastructure development, making mandatory provisions for environmental costs in a government project or program. Okay, so here again it depends upon the intuition. So personally I will not be able to what eliminate any of these statements. Okay, but sometimes based on the what extremeness of the statements we will be able to eliminate, but here in this context what it's not possible. But if you look at all these three statements, okay, all the three statements, so they somewhat convey the negative thing itself, but this also conveys the negative thing itself. Okay, non-inclusion, ignoring, making mandatory provisions. Okay, again we cannot say with full confidence, but anyhow now we know about greenwashing. Greenwashing. So next, which among the following steps is most likely to be taken at the time of an economic recession? Right. So what do we understand by economic recession? Economic slowdown. An example of economic slowdown? Yes. Economic slowdown.
Increase in purchase.
Yes. Low demand. Okay. So low demand means people are not coming forward to purchase goods, to purchase services. So as the people are not coming forward to purchase goods, so industries are not are manufacturing less. As they are manufacturing less, what happens? So employment opportunities are being reduced. Okay, are being reduced. So this overall scenario we call it as economic recession. Okay, economic recession. Now we want to give a push to it. Okay. At a time of an economic recession means more number of employment opportunities have to be created so that more production will take place, and people should have also more money with them so that there will be interest to buy goods. Okay, there will be interest to buy goods. So this phenomena of what giving a push, that is called as generally fiscal there are two approaches. One is fiscal stimulus, another one is what? Monetary stimulus as well. Okay, fiscal stimulus. Generally, two examples we use. One is fiscal stimulus, and generally we'll call it as what? Monetary stimulus. Okay, stimulus. Okay, economic recession. Now it comes to monetary policy. Already we know about the monetary policy, right? So you want more money with the people. Okay, we want more money with the people. So what you will do with respect to repo rate? Will increase or decrease? You will decrease repo rate. Now if you decrease repo rate, so banks will what? Banks will have money, and people will be interested to take loan. Okay, so people will take loan, businessmen will take loan. So when people will take loan, they'll start purchasing goods, demand will increase. When businessmen will take loan, they'll establish new units. So when they establish new units, so production will start, employment opportunities will be created. Okay, so in this fashion, we'll be able to address the problem of what? Economic recession. Okay, when it comes to monetary policy, so what we'll do, we are going to reduce the interest rate. We are going to reduce the interest rate so that overall a kick will be given to the economic activity. Now it comes to fiscal policy. So the taxation related policies, we call it as what? Fiscal policy, right? Fiscal policy. Now, if you increase taxes, then an industrialist will be more interested to set up a factory, or when you reduce the taxes? Obviously, when you reduce the taxes, so an industrialist will be ready to what? Start a new industry or new factory. And individuals also, when the tax is reduced, so they'll be interested to what? Spend more. The spending behavior will increase because they'll be having more disposable income. Okay, disposable income. So here the crux is, one is what? Tight monetary policy or loose monetary policy? Loose monetary policy. Next is taxes have to be reduced. The taxes have to be reduced. Now taking these things into account, we shall look into the options. Okay, so most likely to be taken at the time of economic recession means we want to give a push. Okay, we want to give a push. So cut in tax rates. Will we cut the tax rates? Yes. So definitely yes. Accompanied by increase in interest rate. So when it comes to fiscal policy, you are going to cut the taxes. When it comes to monetary policy, will you increase or decrease? You will decrease. It means the first option, first part is correct, but second part is not correct. Second part is not correct. Next, increase in expenditure on public projects. Okay, we'll just pause. We are not that much sure. We'll come to the third option. Increase in tax rates. So will it give a push? No. So again it is wrong. Accompanied by reduction of tax interest rate. Yes. Okay. So the second part is correct, but the first part is wrong. So overall the third option is wrong. Okay. Third option is wrong. Reduction of expenditure on public projects. Okay. So public projects, for example, construction of a road is an example of a public project. Okay. Construction of a nuclear power plant, thermal power plant. Okay. So any infrastructure, all of them, they are what? Public project. So when you spend more on public project, what happens? Increase in employment, increase in demand. See, for construction of this road, we require cement, we require steel. So obviously demand for steel will increase, demand for cement will increase. So in the cement industry, the employment opportunities will increase. In the steel industry, employment opportunities will increase. So automatically there will be a kick for the economic activity. Okay. So here when you increase the expenditure on public projects, what happens? It will be like a what? Kick for an, it's a likely step to be taken during economic recession. So this step also we are not going to take. Okay, we are not going to take. Now, what is the answer here? Increase in expenditure on public projects. Okay, so here we also saw the options as well. But whether in such kind of cases, UPSC can frame a option like how many of the above are correct? Yes, they can frame. Okay, here they can frame such kind of question. They'll give you the first 4 options and later on they will ask how many of the above are correct. In this example, how many are correct? Yes, only one. Now I'll slightly tweak it. Cut in taxes rate accompanied by decrease in interest rate. How many will be correct? 2 will be correct. Next, so again both of them will mean same, I guess. Decrease in tax rate accompanied by reduction of. Okay, so both of them they mean the same, right? Okay, so in this fashion also if they give, we should be able to what? Answer them. So here such kind of questions can be framed. Okay, can be framed. Okay, now rather than saying like this, what they can do? They can make a statement like if the RBI follows tight monetary policy, the tight monetary policy will give a fillip to the economic activity? No, it should be what? Loose monetary policy. Okay, loose monetary policy. So in this fashion, based on this question, so we should be able to connect all the dots. Okay, all the dots. So see, initially for the beginners, economics is a very tough subject. Why? Because they don't have any iota of information about the economics. But once you start reading economics, you will understand that you do not require a revision. A frequent revision is not required in case of economics. In case of history and all, you have to memorize things and repeated revision is required, otherwise you will forget. But here, once you have retained the concept, in all the cases it is not possible, but in few questions, if you understood the concept properly, then you do not require any kind of revision. Okay, directly in the examination hall, if you are able to apply your knowledge, you will be able to arrive at the answer. Okay, there are not all questions are like that, but at least there will be few questions where you can apply your knowledge. Okay, so it is one such question. Okay, it's one such question. But first thing is that we need to understand the question. Okay, the basic is first we need to understand the question. If we do not understand the question properly, then we will not be able to address it. So that's why the basic vocabulary is very important. So that's why I will be urging, right? So you have to go through newspaper, you have to collect new words on daily basis. So definitely it is going to be beneficial in mains. When you start writing answers, it is going to be beneficial. But apart from the mains, it will also benefit you tremendously when it comes to CSAT. Because in a faster way, when you are supposed to comprehend the CSAT related topics, okay, passage and all, so it will help. At the same time, to some extent, to understand the question, it will help. Okay, and those who are from the Hindi heartland, obviously question paper will also be published in Hindi as well, so they can comprehend easily. But from the southern part of India who are not good at Hindi, and even to some extent you can speak Hindi, but the type of words which appear, sometimes it will be difficult. Okay, hence from those perspective, that basic, that English is also equally important. So consider the following statements. Other things remaining unchanged. Market demand for a good might increase if price of its substitute increases, price of its complement increases, the good is inferior good, and the income of the consumer increases. Okay, increases, its price falls. Okay, price falls. So this question we have discussed multiple times. Directly we will come to the answer itself. But still in the examination, if they tweak the statements also, we should be able to answer this question. Okay, answer this question. So here what are the terms? Substitute, complement. Okay, so other things remaining unchanged. Market demand for a good might increase if price of its substitute and complement. So can you give what is the complement, what is substitute? That is different. Okay, here substitute and complement. I think once we have discussed in the class also, you have forgotten. Okay, substitute means completely one. Yes, yes, we can. It can be replaced by other. Okay, complement means on top of that. Okay, on top of that. So I think in the class you are given one example also. Can you give an example of a good and also its substitute and complement? One example. Any example? There's so many examples, but see, sometimes when you are discussing coffee, okay, we took an example of what? Coffee and tea. Okay, okay. Okay, coffee can be considered, okay, that can be a good example. So we can say coffee and tea. Okay, coffee and tea. Okay. So other things remaining unchanged, market demand for what? A good might increase if the price of its substitute increases. Means a person, here the assumption is that either a person will drink coffee or tea, but there are people like me, okay, who will drink both coffee and tea in one single day and multiple times. Okay, but anyhow, to connect this question, so coffee, other things remaining unchanged, market demand for coffee might increase if the price of its substitute increases. So here its substitute is tea, so its price increases. So coffee, its price is not increased, so market demand for coffee, it will increase or decrease? It will increase, because say its price has remained just what, 100 rupees per kg, let's assume, but its price is increasing. Other things remaining unchanged, market demand for a good might increase if price of its substitute increases. So if the price of tea increases, what happens? All will say that no, now we will be satisfied with coffee itself. So they'll go and they'll start asking for coffee itself. So the demand for coffee will increase. Okay, demand for coffee will increase. So first one is right. So we need not necessarily take the same examples for all the statements. Price of its complement increases. So what is the complement of this tea and coffee? Biscuit. Okay, we can consider what biscuit as a complement. Okay, biscuit. So the price, market demand for coffee will increase. Market demand of coffee will increase if the price of its complement increases. So biscuit price is increasing, hence coffee demand will increase. Is there a relationship? No. So coffee might increase if the price of its complement increases. So if the biscuit price is increasing, at that time the demand for coffee increasing, there is no connection at all. Okay, there is no connection at all. But there may be a reverse connection. If the price of its complement decreases, there may be few people who always want to have biscuit only along with coffee. Okay, see, again we are taking extreme cases, but anyhow they are not given that extreme case. There may be some people who always prefer to have biscuit only with coffee. In such case, what happens? When the complement price decreases, automatically the coffee demand might increase, but here it's not possible. So complement price increases, so coffee demand increases, there is no link. Second one is false. Second one is false. Now the good is an inferior good and the income of the consumer increases. Again, we should take the example of coffee and tea itself. So let's consider, so which one is superior, which one is inferior. Will not make such kind of discrimination, but just to make our discussions easier, we shall consider that tea is superior and coffee is inferior. Okay, coffee is inferior. So the market, other things remaining unchanged, market demand for coffee increases if the good is an inferior good. Okay, coffee is an inferior good and the income of the consumer rises. So a person who is getting 1 lakh rupees income per month, now his salary will become 2 lakh. Okay, in such a case, so the coffee demand will increase or tea's demand will increase. Okay, so as I have money, why I should have coffee? I'll have tea itself. Okay, so when the market demand for coffee might increase if the coffee is inferior good and the income of the consumer increases. When the income of the consumer increases, he will not go for a inferior good, he will prefer a superior. Okay, superior one. Okay, superior one. So hence third one is false. Its price falls. Other things remaining unchanged, market demand for a good might increase, coffee might increase if its price falls. If the coffee price falls, obviously all will prefer the good which is available at a cheaper rate, so its demand will increase. Okay, now what's the answer? 1 and 4. Okay, now without looking into the options itself, we should be able to assess these statements. Okay, assess these statements, because in the examination, in this example, can they frame a statement like this? How many of the above are correct? They can frame such kind of statement. Now using elimination method, easily we can arrive at the answer. But if they frame such kind of statement, then it will be a bit difficult. Okay, it will be a bit difficult. Now what we'll do, we'll try to do some kind of changes and all, and just see what is the answer. So price of its substitute decreases. See, I am just making the same question. Consider the following statements. Other things remaining unchanged, market demand for a good might increase if the price of its substitute decreases. Then statement 1 will be true or false?
False.
It will be false. Okay, false. Next, price of its complement decreases. Hello? Okay. Price of its complement decreases.
False.
We cannot completely say as true or false. It may. Okay, it may. Because coffee demand might increase if its complement decreases. As we took the example of what? Coffee and biscuit. Okay, biscuit. Again, the worst such examples I are not going to ask. The good is an inferior good. See, the good is a superior good and the income of the consumer increases. It will be true. Your income has increased and you try to purchase superior good. So third one can also be correct. Its price increases. Remaining unchanged, market demand for a good might increase if the price increases. False. Because when the price increases, the demand will fall. Okay, demand will fall. So based on this understanding, the same question, every time when you are going through the question, okay, you will frame different kind of questions and try to find out the answer. In this fashion, if you prepare, then if a similar kind of question appears in the upcoming year, so you will be able to address that question with full confidence. Okay, full confidence. Okay. So next, with reference to urban cooperative banks in India, consider the following statements. They are supervised and regulated by the local boards set up by the state governments. Okay, state governments. They can issue equity shares and preference shares. Okay, preference shares. They are brought under the purview of the Banking Regulation Act 1949 through an amendment in 1966. Okay, 1966. So this is an important question. So recently there have been some changes. Okay, there have been some changes. This question was asked in 2021, but recently when it comes to cooperatives, some changes have taken place. Okay, so according to that we shall update the content. Okay, we shall update the content. But here, what clue can this question give us so that we can prepare for the upcoming year? So here they have mentioned about urban urban cooperative banks. Okay, urban cooperative banks. So here we need to know about the different types of banks. Okay. So whether urban cooperative bank can be considered as a scheduled commercial bank? See here, whether cooperative banks are part of scheduled commercial banks?
Yes.
Okay, example. So when it comes to scheduled commercial banks, okay, they are different from cooperative banks. Scheduled commercial banks, cooperative banks, both of them are different. Okay, both of them are different. So scheduled commercial banks, which banks are called as scheduled commercial banks? Schedule 2 of Banking Regulation Act or RBI Act? RBI Act. They are called as scheduled commercial banks. So scheduled commercial banks only include public sector banks. They do not include private sector banks. True or false?
False.
They include private sector banks as well? Okay. So scheduled commercial banks include public sector and private sector banks of India only. They do not include the foreign banks which are operating in India. True or false? False. Okay. Now there is a confusion, right? So you'll cross verify whether foreign banks which are operating in India, will they be considered as a scheduled commercial bank or not? When the foreign banks are operating in India, there are two models. One is branch model, another one is subsidiary. So whether subsidiary can be considered as a scheduled commercial bank or not, whether a branch can be considered as a scheduled commercial bank or not. See, we are going to a much deeper level, but anyhow we are preparing. At least these superficial aspects we shall keep in mind and we shall prepare. Now it comes to cooperative banks. Okay, when it comes to cooperative banks, okay, now scheduled commercial bank, regional rural banks, whether they are considered a scheduled commercial bank? Regional rural banks, yes, they are considered scheduled commercial banks. Now it comes to cooperative banks. Okay, cooperative banks, there are two varieties. One is urban cooperative banks, another one is what? The cooperative banks which deal with the rural areas. Okay, now here comes the three-tier structure. What is that? State cooperative banks, district central cooperative banks, next at the village level, primary agricultural credit societies. Okay, now what you will do at this level, you will list all the banks. Okay, list all the banks. Scheduled commercial banks you will list. Next, as part of this we also have what? Regional rural banks as well. Next, urban cooperative banks. Next, state cooperative bank, district central cooperative bank, primary agricultural credit society. Okay, primary agricultural credit society. So they are supervised and regulated by local boards set up by the state government. Previously, when it comes to urban cooperative bank, we call it as dual regulation. Okay, dual regulation means management related things will be regulated by state government, but bank related things will be regulated by RBI. Okay, RBI. But recently some changes have taken place. So with those changes, we shall again discuss once again. But here, based on this question, we need to understand who is going to regulate scheduled commercial banks, who is going to regulate district central cooperative banks, who is going to regulate what urban cooperative banks, who is going to regulate state cooperative bank. So all those questions we have to pose and we have to try to find the answer to the same. Okay, same. Next, urban cooperative banks, they can issue, see here, as per this 2021, the first one is wrong. 2021. But now currently what is the status? We shall check. Because previously there is a dual supervision. So supervised and regulated by local boards, wrong. So only management related was done by local boards, whereas banking related was done by RBI. Okay, RBI. First one was wrong and the answer was 2 and 3. But now we are not interested in that answer. Second one, they can issue equity shares and preference shares. We need to understand what is equity share. We already know what is equity share. What is preference share? Okay. So preference share means the share will not be issued publicly to all the people. Okay. Only to few selected people you are going to issue the shares. Those are called as preference shares. Okay. Preference shares. Now next, based on this, what you will do is, can scheduled commercial banks issue shares?
Yes.
Can they issue preference shares? Yes. Can regional rural banks issue?
Yes.
Can urban cooperative banks issue? Yes. Whether district central cooperative banks can issue? See, these are the questions you will ask. Whether state cooperative bank can issue shares? Yes or no. Whether primary agricultural credit societies can issue share or not. Okay. So they cannot issue shares. Okay. So these things you will focus. Okay, you will focus. Next, when it comes to last part, they were brought under the purview of the Banking Regulation Act 1949 through an Amendment Act in 1966. Okay, so in 1966, the Banking Regulation Act, they started applying to urban cooperative banks. So how about district central cooperative banks? Whether they got applied in 1949 itself or 1966? So for all the cooperatives, okay, for all the cooperatives, Banking Regulations Act, it got it started getting applied to these bodies only in 1966. So this will search. Okay, now Banking Regulation Act, whether it applies to scheduled commercial banks? Yes, okay, including regional rural bank. Whether Banking Regulation Act applies to urban cooperative bank? Yes. State cooperative bank? Yes. District central cooperative bank? Yes. Primary agricultural credit societies? No. Okay, so this clarity you should have. When it comes to primary agricultural credit societies, Banking Regulation Act does not apply. Okay, for all the other entities, Banking Regulation Act applies. Okay, Banking Regulation Act applies. And when it comes to cooperatives, starting from 1966, so this Banking Regulation Act it started applying. Okay, started applying. So in this fashion, you will prepare based on this. Okay, based on this question. Okay, so here just you will take this question as a base, and you will prepare the entire banking system. It may be scheduled commercial bank, it may be regional rural bank, or it may be what? Urban cooperative bank, state cooperative bank, or district central cooperative bank. Okay, so all these things will prepare. Okay, prepare. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll stop here itself. Okay, so already it's 12:10. So again tomorrow we shall resume back with the discussion. So probably 2021 we'll complete 21 and let's see 21. After that, okay, either tomorrow or day after tomorrow again we shall switch to other subject. Okay, we shall switch to other subject. Okay. So whatever we have done repeatedly, at least these things we'll revise. Okay, we will revise. So simultaneously also we shall touch other subjects as well. Okay, other subjects as well. So we shall conclude with these discussions for today's class.